I recognize the member for Columbia River, Revelstoke.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you to my colleague from Vancouver Falls Creek for the opportunity today, and also thanks to the minister for the opportunity to have a conversation about a few things. And through you, Chair, to the minister may know that during estimates with the transportation minister, I confirmed that the addition of the CBA agreement in relation to the Trans-Canada Highway project had added around 35 million to the overall cost of the project, and that the creation of this agreement was about jobs, training, and apprenticeships. And with that said, even though the agreement has excluded thousands of workers who are not part of the NDP chosen unions. So my first question, will the minister please tell us, through you, Chair, to the minister, will the minister tell us how much of the 35 million has been allocated to her budget for training?
Minister.
Thank you, Chair. As the member may be aware, and thank you to the member for the question, the CBAs are within the responsibility of the Minister of Finance. I'm responsible for the Industry Training Authority, and their budget, it's one of my crowns, their budget is 98.9 million annually.
Member.
Thank you, Chair, and to the minister. So I'm to understand that none of that $35 million, although it's focused on apprenticeship training, which I would assume goes through your ministry or through the minister's ministry. So none of that money has been allocated to the minister and her ministry, even though that ministry is responsible for the training.
Minister.
Thank you, member, for the question. We provide $99 million to the Industry Training Authority to deliver on-demand trades training programs throughout the province. The CBAs are the responsibility of the Ministry of Finance.
Member.
Thank you, Chair, and through you to the minister. I certainly understand the point that she just made, but if the $35 million has been allocated for apprenticeship training and continuing education training, then is the monies associated with that training then coming out of her direct budget, the minister's direct budget, or is it going to be coming from the finance minister?
Minister.
Thank you, member. Member, you'll have to ask the Minister of Finance that question.
Member.
Well, thank you, Chair, and through to the minister. I find it a little perplexing when the Minister of Advanced Education, who's responsible for the apprenticeships, doesn't have an answer as to how those apprenticeships will be paid for. So again, let me try it a different way. The apprenticeships that are associated with the CBA agreements, will they actually be the responsibility of this minister?
Minister.
Thank you to the member. So the Industry Training Authority works with the BC Infrastructure Benefits Corporation. They work together to make sure that the appropriate apprenticeship training is in place. But the IT does that within their $99 million budget. The $35 million that the member is asking about is best asked of the Minister of Finance. But the IT does not receive extra funding. They facilitate the training across the province within their $99 million.
Member.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and through to the minister. That still doesn't answer my question. Who's going to where is that 35 million going? But we'll move on from that. So on the record, then it would seem that you have no access, or the minister does not have any access to those dollars. So it's a bit of a mystery where those dollars will go. So moving along through, Chair, to the minister. So given the minister is responsible for advanced education and training and apprenticeships and continuing education, I was wondering if the minister could tell us and share with us the to date what post-secondary institutions that her ministry has been in contact in terms of delivering CBA training, whether it be continuing education or apprenticeships for the project.
Minister.
Thank you to the member for the question. So just want to clarify a point around the training. So when we're thinking of the trades in the apprenticeship system, 80% of the training is on the job, 20% is in class instruction. The Industry Training Authority funds the in-class training component. With respect to the member's question around training for CBAs at institutes, there are lots of layers to that question that we'll have to follow up with greater detail. There's public institutes, there's private institutes, there's different training facilities. So there's lots of layers to that question that I'd be happy to get in writing for the member.
Member.
Thank you, Chair, and to the Minister. I would appreciate that information as soon as I possibly can have it. So given that this project is going to be in the ground this fall, the question I would have then is twofold. Can the Minister give us an understanding of how our ministry has reached out to Indigenous communities in that particular area, which is in my riding, either the Shuswap, Tunaka, or the Métis people, to look at apprenticeship or Con Ed training?
I'd go for it.
Minister.
Thank you to the member for the question. So with respect to the twinning of the highway, the ITA works with the BCIB, so the BC Infrastructure Benefits Corp, to help build relationships with the nations. I'm sorry I didn't catch all the nations that the member opposite addressed. The ITA's apprenticeship advisors act as conduits to build those relationships and work together to identify the trades training needs.
Member, and after your question, let's take a 4.5-minute break.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair, and through to the Minister. I understand the role of the ITA very well, actually, but my question is how has then the ITA reached out to the Shuswap, Tunaka, or Métis, as it is one of the key components within that CBA agreement, in that the First Nations will have the opportunity to have those training opportunities. So I understand their role. I would like to know where we are with that reach out and what's going to happen with that.
We have to get back out of recess first.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for the break. It gave me a chance to do a quick consult with the CEO of the Industry Training Authority, Shelley Gray. We will get a detailed response to you, member, in writing. I think the spirit of self-determination is to understand what the needs of the Ktunaxa, the Métis, and the Shuswap are, knowing that they will be unique. I don't have the details on hand, but happy to follow up as quickly as possible to get you what the details of what the advisors are doing up in your territory related to the twinning of the highway.
Thank you, Minister. I recognize the member for Columbia River Revelstoke.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for that, and I look forward to that information. So in time, I'd love to, through you, Chair, to the Minister, have the entire rest of the day to chat about this with the Minister, but I don't. I've got colleagues stacking up behind me. So last question, two parts. So I want to go back to something that was a little kind of glazed over. Through you, Chair, to the Minister, I'd just like to know if her or if the Minister, the ITA or the BCIB, have they reached out to the local colleges and spoken with them about the apprenticeship training? And the second part of that question is that given that this project is slated to start this fall, how many actual apprenticeships have been secured either through the ITA or whatever means that is appropriate? How many actual apprenticeships are there in relationship to the work actually starting this fall?
Minister.
Thank you again to the member opposite. I don't wish to be repeating myself, but I'm not responsible for the administration of the community benefits agreements. As the minister responsible for the colleges, institutions, and the Industry Training Authority, the ITA is always working with the public institutions that do deliver trades training. We're always looking at in-demand seats and apprenticeship opportunities. That is fully within my purview, but I do not have the details for the member on how many apprenticeships are working on this project. I would suggest that the member opposite raises those questions with the Minister of Finance.